Yeah, I mean it's something else.
But it was part of bootlegging.
Yeah, bootleg. That's when you hear about prohibition.
Yeah.
Well, that's when the federal government made it illegal because they could make it. Well, they wouldn't get into collecting any kind of taxes or anything on it, and that's the reason why today which the federal with the marijuana, that is but states. The federal government has never, but it's whatever state is not the federal, it's the state. And they found out it's more money that the state, and then that they have to pay more taxes, federal taxes, to the government. And that's why it's controlled by state. Yeah.
You talking about marijuana versus alcohol?
Huh?
You're talking about marijuana versus alcohol.
Well, marijuana was here before alcohol because they didn't know what it was. Marijuana was founded in Mexico. That's when the guy said loco weed. Didn't know what he was talking about. That's what they called it back then, loco weed. He said, well, he had too many loco weed. The horse throwed him, this mule throwed him, and then that's why when they say loco weed, what are you talking about? It was marijuana. Because it grew in Mexico, came from Mexico. And now you can, heck, if I legalized, I could put one of my fields in marijuana, but I'd have to stand out guard. Somebody take
You ain't gonna do that.
Well, that's true. Because it's legal. And,
it's not legal in Missouri, is it?
Oh, yeah, they passed the law because it's legal in Arkansas. While people come, and now it's only, well, I told you right there at the Chinese place, you can go in there and.
Okay.
And out in Colorado, you don't know what you're getting because some of the cookies and cigarettes and what. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guy. When they legalized it, and he ran out, and I think he bought a bigger supply for the holiday. I mean, it's on the news. I ain't lying. I'm talking about local news.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said they interviewed him. We prepared for the holiday, and they just bought more, And then he might be getting some from the rancher that supplies him.
Yeah. That could be possible.
Because one of his brothers, this Robert, he was associating with him when I was. And then Bongo said, we used to get together and drink some beer and smoke some pot, and they fell out. And of course, I knew it because people can't fool me. In that big barn, they never let me go up there. They said, "Oh, that's some hay up there," but then that tornado came through and tore that barn all to pieces. Went down there, and apparently he built it back because I'm sure he got insurance. But I knew what was going on.
He got insurance off of weed in a barn.
Hmm?
He said it was hay.
Yeah, he said it was hay. And I said, "Oh, okay, I don't want to see no round bales." This went on. But you don't put water up there to. Then I found out from his own brother they fell out. and he had 1,600 acres. We sat there, and he was telling me about how they sold the pot and everything. I said, "Oh, really?" I'll talk like I didn't know anything about his brother. And then, heck, they had it. Then they had a liquor store. First thing I know, his brothers went back in. And of course, Robert and Lynn, they stayed together. He still deals in it. But I said, that's why some people.
That's a bit much.
They didn't know. Shoot, I knew about stuff before they was even born. And Dink, I told him, I said, Dink, you've been dealing with marijuana ever since I known you. And he couldn't say that. I knew where he kept it. But he didn't know that I knew where he kept it. But that was his prerogative. And I never did smoke any with him. Because I told him, I said, I'll take mine from the bottle. I don't like it. I don't like the smell of it. And I don't like the taste of it. And that's what I told you. That,
how old was you when you said you tried it?
well, I told you, I tried it. I was 20 years old in Springfield.
Yeah.
And these buddies I bought a cigarette for 50 cents. And I took a couple of drags off of that stuff, and heck, I swallowed it, you know. And I said, "Oh my God!" And I gave it back to Solomon Woods. I said, "Here, man, take this stuff. I don't want to." I said, "I ought to make you give my 50 cents back." I said, "Of course, your grandpa was never broke. I always had $1 in my pocket. I bought everything, you know. I smoked that stuff." And then I got with this, the girl that gave me them statues there. Her mother, he was I knew the people she wanted. They gave a party, they put some stuff on this cigarette, liquid. And that must have been heroin, because it was something, I smoked that and I got high on a kite. I went to bed, I laid down, and I had never smoked another one since. Yeah, it was liquid, you know. I just wanted, because I knew the marijuana, I could smell it, you know. But
Granddaddy, how do you know it wasn't acid?
I don't know. It was some kind of dope, because
but if you saw them put it on there, why did you smoke it?
Well, I just wanted to see what it was, see what it would do. Cause the marijuana, I just wanted to see how it would. But I never forget, it was kind of a gold-looking color. It wasn't clear. And I said, I just smoked the whole cigarette. And shoot, I went in and laid down, and that stuff it must have been the acid, I guess, when this words came out. Heroin was powder. The acid, I think, came out before the heroin.
I don't know.
Yeah, because the heroin is dust. You know, you put it, you sniff it, or you can take it, or what. But this was it was liquid, and I said, "Oh my, I ain't buying that."
So this is a very bizarre conversation to be having with my grandpa, that you done took acid.
I didn't know what it was, but no, I'd heard it. I wanted to see what it.
So you just was curious, so that's why you did it.
I knew they were talking about, I had acid in maybe, and I wanted to see if I'd have probably smoked that whole cigarette, my brain would have probably been burnt in a day or two. Well, I just took one puff. I was experimenting. I wanted to see what this stuff would do to you. And if you get hooked
how did it
on
make
that,
you
then
feel?
you go from the heroin, you sniff it, or you eat it, or you but sniff and snuff. The Swedes do that. When I told them, I said, "Oh, snuff I ever seen that had it in the lip." And Mom used snuff, and she used a tube called it cleaner tea, and come to find out that's how they, in a little brown jar or the box.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people they dip snuff because it's nasty. They put it in the lip, and they put it in the jar. But I'd never seen these Swedes come from Minnesota. They sniffed it.
Oh.
That's true. And to me, chewing tobacco and skull and all that stuff, why?
It is nasty.
And this kid that was down there at the lake, he had chewed tobacco and he had a knot in his jaw like he always had a.
A lot of baseball players do that.
Well, you did, but I couldn't. But this old man, he was an operator, crane op. That old man, he chewed tobacco. He never spit.
Ew, he swallowed it?
He never spit. That old man, and heck, sometime he would, he would like an apple a day. He'd eat his lunch. And I've seen him, he would even take a drink of water and never spit.
Didn't he have spittoons for that? They made them, like actual spittoons where people would spit.
I guess they get used to it or can hold it without.
Ew. That's nasty. That's very nasty.
I guess you get used to it, but she'd swallow. Oh my God.
Ugh.
When I tell you about it, the first cigarette I inhaled, and I like to call my. I seen Mom do it, and that's why I started smoking for taste.
But you didn't inhale it.
No, never inhaled. And I guess that's the reason I got good lung. I coughed and seen people in it blow it out their nose. It's what your system gets used to.
Yeah.
Well, I think about old man Murphy. They had to make him retire. He was 70. What was he? He was 73 years old. He got where you would give him a signal. He allowed to put in reverse. And then after he retired, he was raised up in Monette. His folks was in the coal business, hauling coal with horses. Different houses. They lived by a park, Nichols Park. And heck, he'd get up, he'd find him out there looking for them horses. That's how his mind it went.
So he must have
man
dementia or
never
something.
learned how to drive a car. They was Catholic. They was a St. Joe. And his wife, well, she never brought him. I didn't know why she always brought him when to go back, pick him up. And they was able enough to have many cars they want, and found out the old man never learned how to drive. And that's the reason why she always drove.
That's interesting because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, I said it because usually the men didn't want the women to learn how to drive because a lot of them would have took off. Like over there in what country this woman fighting the women how to drive?
Yeah.
They get abused and they leave. But I don't know why. This old man, I don't know whether his folks didn't have a car, but they delivered the coal, but he was out there be looking for them horses.
He probably reverted back to what he remembered growing up.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have a car. I don't know. Didn't know anything, but they lived from on that, and that was one where they most prejudiced place. See, that's where art's from, and
Uh-huh.
where the guys at the railroad.
Is that why you think Art looked at you crazy when you said Caucasian? When you
Well,
were
he
looking,
probably never heard that word before.
I'm sure he has.
Well, I don't know, but he had never heard. As long as I've been around him, he never heard me use that.
Oh,
Yeah, but I just said, and some of them don't know, they don't pay any attention, but some of them had never heard me say it, and but they could ride the train to Monette. Well, that's why they broke off and went down the Fayetteville, and that's where his grandma went, and then they would go on into Kansas City and other parts, but they had to sleep up upstairs, that dirty place, just like the theater. When I went down there to take out that turntable, I said, "Now look, if I can't come back home, I'm not going down." I said, "I'm not sleeping in that filthy place." Then they would let me off, and heck, I got paid. They gave me mileage.
right.
Yeah, I wouldn't go on, but I could. Oh, I didn't. They said, "Friday, we can't get that done all day. Do it in one day." I said, "Let me tell you, I'm not staying down there." And that's why I got a ticket for pickup. It was local tags, and they had started. They would send out your automobile, and I was waiting for them to send. Went by this wait station. I just looked over there and see they always. They wasn't. And pretty soon I looked in my mirror. I saw him coming out. And I said, "Oh," and he got a little closer and he put the light on. I said, "Oh my!" I just and I asked Mercy. I said, "Wonder what are you stopping me for? I wasn't speeding." He looked on there. My license was over.
Oh no.
And I said, "Officer," I said, "this is my first license. I was waiting on a notice from the license bureau." He said, "They don't send them out now." And I think that I paid, the fine was $10. And then
So you paid the fine and got it renewed, and you didn't have to worry about it?
he gave me a ticket. I had to go to the license bureau in Springfield to pay it.
So they gave you a ticket and they renewed your license?
No, I had to get my license myself, and that's when they started putting a penalty on. You get a notice right now. And I thought it was a year, but that's a month. And Shirley figured that out. That's when I didn't buy that scooter over there.
But didn't you say it was hot? He didn't have the title? You got a phone call.
Well,